Alright guys, we got in here 1/4 cup of water, tap water, just heated up to 110 degrees. Nothing too high, nothing too low. You want to be like right at 110. I got 1.5 tablespoons of sugar in there and 1.5 tablespoons of active dry yeast. This is all stuff you get at Safeway. In this bowl here in the mixer, I've got 1 3/4 of a cup of just white all-purpose flour, and then I have another cup of 1 3/4 all-purpose flour. So next thing we're going to do is get another whole cup, or just get a whole cup of water that's been heated to 110 degrees. You don't have to be as strict with this temperature. You definitely want it a little warm. But basically we're just trying not to kill off the yeast in that first bit that I showed you there. So there's a cup. What we're going to do is just add this, and we're letting our yeast mix here with the sugar. Right here you can see it's starting to foam up. That's what you want to see happen. That means that it's activating and the yeast is starting to rise. And while that's happening, I usually let this sit for like 3 or 4 minutes. First thing I do is put the water boiling, or get the water hot. I get it on the stove and let that start to heat up, and then I get all my stuff out. I measure out my flours, I get my yeast and everything ready, and then I go back and check on the water, check at the temperature with one of these guys, easy, and move on from there. So I kind of started this video for you guys like halfway through what I was already doing. So I'm just going to stay with it though, and you guys can watch me go through the process. So now we're just pre-mixing and kind of hydrating this 1 3/4 cups of flour here, and I'm just kind of knocking some of the flour down off the side so everything can get in there with the dough hook. And if you guys don't have like a mixer, basically that's just saving me some time, right? But if you don't have that, that's totally fine too. You can do that by hand with your hands, or with a big spoon. So next thing I'm going to want to do is add some salt, which I am running dangerously low on. So I'm going to have to get me some more salt. Alright, we're back. I got some sea salt here. We're going to add some of that in. I'm not real precise about the salt and pepper use. You're going to have to do that to taste. And you can check this out. This is what's going on in here. Nothing that really looks like proper dough yet. Looks slimy and nasty. We're going to grab some pepper. I'm going to do this one-handed. So we got some pepper in there. Next thing we want to do, check out that yeast mix. It's been for like 4 minutes now. That is ridiculous. This thing is going to rise. So I'm going to slow down the mixer here. Stop it up. Add my yeast mixture. So I've got that in there. Pick it up. Whoa! Pick that back up. And just start adding in my flour as it mix. I got this on the lowest setting. Alright, so now that that's going, push down the dough hook there. Just going to mix this on low until we start to see all the dough kind of come together. It's going to look scary, like it does. This looks like a disaster, right? But just in some time, everything will start coming together nice. And if it doesn't, all you need to do is just add a little bit more water. There it is. So I'm going to measure out 2 tablespoons here. I just like to put a little indent on the side of the butter here. This isn't warmed up butter or anything like that. It's right out of the fridge. And you can see I kind of put a little indent on it there. Let's get a cheese knife. Two nice big squares. Tablespoon each. And we're going to add this in just a minute or two. So I'm just helping the dough kind of move around in this thing. And it is pretty sticky. So now what we're going to do is put in a little bit of butter. And that should help it add a little bit more flour too. Okay, so that first one is about halfway gone. I'm going to go ahead and drop the next one in now. That's what we need. See how now the dough is grabbing onto the hook? And it's sort of slapping around the sides. It comes apart a little bit. Have fun. And while this is taking place, we're going to go ahead and butter the bowl that we're going to use for the proofing. So right here, I like to use a ceramic bowl. It's a little bit better than steel or anything like that. You got glass. Glass works really well. You just want to make sure that the bowl is big enough that it can rise in there really easily. So that's about as big as my bowl is. And then we're just going to take the big stick of butter that we have and just coat all of the inside of this bowl with the butter. Boom. I'm going to leave that there. Alright, now check out where our dough is. Now it's starting to look like real dough. So the butter is gone. The dough is kind of uniform in shape and texture. Alright, so dough is still going. 2 seconds have passed. I'm going to shut this thing off. Open this guy up. You can see that this thing is all stuck on here. We've got a big thing of flour here. We get our hands floured. And we're going to pull this dough off the hook. Get the other little bits that we missed. This is a nice little tool. It's a dough scraper. Let me get everything out inside there. So, this process is really easy. This is what my dough looks like. Kind of all uniform. I got flour on one end. Basically what I'm going to do is just press it out. I'm going to fold it over itself. Maybe one more time. Put both hands on. And push. Fold. Push. Okay. Now I want you to take a look at this dough. No more rips, right? Doesn't really want to focus. But yes, less rips. So, the next part. Basically you want to get it into a ball. Kind of pulling it a little bit. Put it down on the counter like this. And you're going to want to turn it, which does a couple of things. You're kind of pushing down and pulling in like this, kind of like that, making that motion and turning it at the same time. And that's going to give the dough ball a good shape. Maybe just move it around like this. And that turning is going to seal off the bottom, right? So that's kind of helping you find your shape of your loaf. It also tests, if I can leave it there, it's going to mellow out a little bit, but not instantly. And that's how we know we've worked up some good gluten in there. Okay, now it's a hot day today. Kind of. It's hot in my house. We don't have air conditioning yet. Get a nice little sphere. And now what we're gonna do, take our buttered bowl over here, toss this guy in the bowl, and then move him around so all of it gets buttered up. Alright, now all this guy is real shiny. Just perfect. So now we've made the dough, kneaded the dough, put it inside the buttered bowl, and it is 1:32. I'm gonna come back and check on it at like 2 o'clock, 2:30, somewhere in there. I'm gonna cover this with cling film, airtight, so it doesn't leak any air and get dried out, and then put a tea towel over it, put it over on the table, and we'll be good. Assholes outside my window are jackhammering a wall or something, so that's the delightful background you hear. I came and checked on the bread. At like 2 o'clock, I was about 30 minutes into the first proof after the first shape. Right, that's what we just left from. So I came at 2 and it looked pretty good, but it wasn't ready yet. And then now it's almost 2:30 now. You can see how much it's basically doubled in size, right? I'll take this off. Let you guys see what it looks like without the film on it. Oh man, and you can smell it too, right? It smells like old beer. It smells yeasty. So yeah, check that out. Get the push on it. See how it kind of sprung back a little bit? It's almost, my fingerprint is still in there, but it's coming out, right? So here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna bring it back over to our work surface. Try not to drop this motherfucker. And then I'm gonna set the camera back up so you can see what the hell I'm trying to do. Alright, so we're back. We're gonna get some flour back out. I always like to clean the surface up a little bit so it doesn't get any water on it or anything like that while I try and clean up the dishes. So we'll just get some nice flour on the table. This thing should slide right out of here because we buttered the bowl up, right? So boom, there we go. Get a little flour on your hands. Maybe dust the top a little bit. Same thing as before, really. Now our dough is bigger, it's puffier, it's a little sticky because of the butter. A little flour, you're fine. Push it out. You see that little air bubble that just burst right there? That's good. So I like to fold it in half once, and fold it in half this way. Maybe do one more roll, and then we're just gonna work it out just like we did before. Whatever. This works for me. So hopefully it works for you guys. You can see my bread is starting to rip a little bit, and that's partially because it's wet still. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more flour on the table. Let me show you. See how it's tearing like that? It's not necessarily bad. I might be pushing a little too hard on it this time, so you might want to be a little bit softer. And just working it. Next thing we're going to do is the final shaping, and before we do the final shaping, I want to prep what I'm going to let it rise in, and the next thing that I let the bread rise in is what I'm going to bake it in. So you got a couple of different options when it comes to this. We're done with our red bowl, so I'm going to put that in here. Option number one, like to take a bread baking dish, like if you wanted to make sandwich loaves, and just like we buttered the red bowl, you would butter the inside of this guy all up, and that way the bread wouldn't stick to it, right? And then let it rise in that with the cloth. So if you're gonna do that, you don't want to roll it into a ball. I'm baking mine in the bread cloche, but you'd want to like separate it out into like a oblong little guy, and put him in there and let him rise in there with some cling film on the top of this guy and a tea towel and not expose it to sun. But since we're going to do it in the cloche, we'll get the cloche ready. So here's, ooh, good God. Here's my cloche bottom. I like to just use flour. You can use cornmeal, whatever. And I like to get a good coating on there, because you don't want this thing to stick to the bottom. Alright. Okay, so we're gonna do the final shaping. We got the floured, and you can see it's generously floured base here. And now the final shaping. So, a lot of the same things we were already doing. See how nasty that looks? We don't want that. So, we can just turn it with our hands a little bit. And then, just gonna start shaping. Pushing down. Here's the secret. Grab the dough in your hands like this and pull towards you. And you get that tension to build up in the top. Now if it starts ripping when you do that, you need to start over and knead some more. Right? Now that we've let it proof that one time, it shouldn't hold the shape as much. You can see as I squish it up like this, it just kind of mellows back out. And because it's a little warm in my apartment today, we probably aren't going to need to let it rise for an hour. Probably just like 30 minutes. If we let it rise too much, it'll balloon out, and then when we bake it, it'll rise up too fast and then collapse. So we kind of have to find like a perfect sweet spot. I like to let it rise like half the size that it is now. And I'll show you what that looks like. So now that we got this guy into a nice little shape, pick him up carefully. And we're gonna lay him in the middle of this. Nice. Okay. And we're gonna put the top on this. We're gonna let it sit right where it is. It's 2:34 now, so yeah, I'm gonna come check on this around 3 o'clock, and you can join me back then. Okay, forgot to tell you, pro tip, check to see what's in your oven. Alright, we want to bake and start getting this oven hot now. So I like to do my bread at about 465. When we get this thing cooking, we want this to be really, really hot when we put the cloche in. Same thing if you're using the little bread pan like that guy. We want that to be really, really hot. We want the oven to be really hot. We want that thing and the bread cloche to be cold. So they are going to chill out in the kitchen, and we are going to wait until about 3 o'clock, and then I'll come and check on the loaf, and we'll prep it for bake. Alright. Alright. So, right up almost to about 3 o'clock again. Check this guy out and see how he's doing. Okay. So, definitely got bigger, right? Not doubled in size, but certainly not tiny. So now, we're going to score the top of the bread, and this is going to give it some space for it to like open up when it rises. Okay, so I've got this nice little bread scorer guy here. It's basically a razor blade. You can use a serrated knife, whatever you need to. And everybody has their own style and how they like to do it. You can just watch me do mine. I usually like to cut an X in mine. I like to go over each bit kind of twice, make sure the scores are nice and deep, because we want our bread to rise, right? Go. Now if you want, you can take a little bit more flour. I usually try and do this before I score it, but I forgot. This will be fine though. Just sprinkle some flour on the top of this guy. And maybe rub it in a little bit. This just kind of helps the crust a little bit. Some people butter the outside with a little brush, you know, and then they do the flour. However you want to do it, really. Play around with stuff. This is what works for me. Get my hand clean. Okay, now, we still got our oven kicking at 465. We are going to put this guy in 465 degrees for 20 minutes all topped up. Actually, I go back and forth. I'm probably going to do it for 30 minutes this time. And then I'm going to take the lid off and maybe go another 10 minutes. But we'll come and check on it in 20 minutes and just see how I'm feeling. So I'm going to get this thing in the oven. We're going to reposition for that. Alright, I got my mitts. Bread is all ready to go. Open up my oven. Let's get this guy in here. Okay, so kind of wanted to do that as quick as we possibly could. Keep all the heat in there. So it's 3:03. I'm gonna come back and check on this thing probably around 3:20, 3:25, maybe 3:30. Depends on how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Okay, so it's 3:27. We're like 24 minutes in. I'm gonna take the top off of this thing and turn the light on in the oven. Like I said, we gotta move it a little quick because I don't want to let any of the hot air out of there. I'm gonna put a little something for my cloche top to sit on because that thing is gonna be hotter than a mother. And then we're gonna get this thing, the top off of this thing. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, so it's hard to tell through my dirty little oven. I'm gonna give you a peek. But we're like 25 minutes into the baking and it's gotten gigantic, right? And I took the top off of the cloche. That's up here. And we're gonna give you a little peek in. So now, oh, look at that thing. Now what we're trying to do is just let the crust brown up a little bit. So I'm probably gonna let this sit for maybe another 5-10 minutes. And then we're gonna pull this thing out and let it cool off. Okay, so we took the cloche lid off at 3:28. It's 3:34. I'll let you guys do the math. I am gonna prep a surface to put my bread on because it's looking pretty ready. Nice big cutting board, little wire vent thing to vent it with, and then it's time to take this bad boy out of this oven. So I'm gonna move the camera for that. Slide right off in here. Yep. We got a nice loaf of bread. So we're gonna let this thing cool off for like 30 minutes, 35 minutes or so. So at about, I don't know, 4:10, we're gonna slice this thing open and see how it looks. Another pro tip, I always like to cover this thing with a nice clean linen cloth. Clean being the key word there. I'm giving you some great camera angles. Alright, pals. The time has come. Pardon me, I'm a little out of breath. I just got off the bicycle. Whew. Alright, check that thing out, man. Listen. Some basic white bread. Nice and fluffy. Crust is nice and thick and a little soft right now, but it'll get crunchy over the next day. Pretty cool. They'll cut me off a slice. You guys make some bread. Let me know how it turns out.